All right, so what is the point of all of what we've learned here, right? We know y for y equals mx plus b. We know that m refers to the slope or the steepness. If the slope is positive, we know that the direction of the line will be uphill. If we know the slope is, we know if the slope is negative, it'll be downhill. And we know how to find the value of the slope as well. What about b? Well, b is the value of the y-intercept. So we know how to decode this particular kind of equation now. And why is that helpful? Because what this will do is it will allow us to, having this knowledge allows us to graph lines without any calculations involved. Right, and that's a very useful thing. It's a very useful thing. So let's just do an example here. So here's the example. Let's call this our example for this particular video. So here we go. It's a simple instruction. Graph y equals -4/3x. Let's say plus 2. There we go. So let's graph this. But what we're going to do is we're going to graph this using the properties of slope and the y-intercept. So one thing we know for slope is that the slope is really equal to the rise over the run. This is going to be useful for us. All right, and another thing that's useful is also knowing the b value. Okay, so let's just draw our axes first. And you'll be able to draw these pretty quickly after enough practice. So the easiest thing to do, in my mind, the easiest thing to do is to first find the y-intercept. So what's the y-intercept? The y-intercept is just the b value. What's the b value? It is +2. So we can say the y-intercept will be at a y value of 2. What's the corresponding x value? It's always going to be 0 for the y-intercept. So we can go up by 1, 2. Here is our point. And our point is at 0 and 2. There you go. So we plotted our first point. Not one single calculation was involved there. So we plotted our first point. And now what we need to do is to leverage our knowledge of the slope in order to find some other point. All you really need to graph a line is 2 points. So let's look at the slope. So as we remember, slope is really rise over run, and the value of the slope that we have here, is -4/3. I usually like to bring the negative up top. It's just simpler for me. It's likely simpler for most everybody to do that, but you don't have to do it that way. I suggest that you do though. Okay, so what is our rise? So slope is rise over run, and our rise over run is -4/3. So we can say our rise is equal to -4, and our run is equal to +3. Okay, so for a rise of -4, that means that to get another point after this point, we're going to need to go down by 4, right? Because it's -4. So we'd have to go down by 1, 2, 3, 4. So we're going to need 2 more tick marks. We're going to need 2 more tick marks on our y-axis. So we go down by, let's do another color here. We're going to go down by 1, 2, 3, 4. So that's our rise. Rise of -4. It won't take you this long when you're actually doing it because you won't be labeling everything as much as I'm labeling, and you won't be yapping as much as I'm yapping. I tend to talk probably too much. So the rise of -4, and what's the run? The run is 3. So once we've finished our rise, then we can start the tail of our new arrow at the tip of the rise, and we will go to the right by 1, 2, 3. And where you have the tip of that last arrow, where you have the tip of that last arrow, that is going to be your new point, your second point. So here you go. This is our second point. It is at an x value of 3, a y value of -2. And so using the b value of +2, we were able to graph 1 point on the y-axis. Using the slope of -4 over 3, -4 over 3, we were then able to find some other point. Now that we have 2 points, we can simply graph our line. So this is the graph of that line. Making sure to draw arrows showing that it goes up and to the left forever and down and to the right forever. We can erase the work that we've done to get there, right? We can erase this rise over run. And this is now the line that we have. And we didn't do one single calculation to graph this line. We didn't plug in any numbers at all. We just knew that the b value of +2, that represents our y-intercept, so we should have a point here. And then to get to the next point, we use our slope, -1, 2, 3, 4, +1, 2, 3, to get this next point here, and then we just connect those two lines. So using the slope and the y-intercept allows us to quickly look at some equation, plot one point using the b value, find some other point using the slope, and then connect them into a line. There you go. Not one calculation was involved. This will take you a while in the beginning if you're doing it carefully, and you should be doing it carefully in the beginning. But after a while, this will be much quicker than actually calculating inputs and corresponding outputs. And also, another thing is that it will give you more power in later math courses as well if you are able to leverage your understanding of y-intercept and slope. So that is an example applying our new knowledge of y-intercept and slope to find the graph of some line that has been given in some original equation in the form y equals mx plus b. It's a lot. Try as many examples as you can, and please ask questions if you have questions.